What's up, fam? So I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. So today's video is kind of a follow-up to the Colourlock Smooth Leather Care Kit that I did about a month or so ago. So that video was all about cleaning and conditioning and protecting the leather interior of my car. But in the process of making that video, I noted this one little piece of leather that was damaged, I guess, by the previous owner. It's always been an eyesore. It's always kind of irritated me. And in the course of making that video, like I noted that in the video, and when I put it out, this is why I love YouTube, somebody saw that and commented and said, hey, you know, the same company that makes the cleaner that you're using also has a leather dye kit that would probably take care of that. So, which I don't know why that didn't occur to me to look that up before. But anyway, I went to their website, and sure enough, they have the Leather Fresh dye kit. So I picked that up, and thank you to Drifter2090 for bringing that to my attention. Much appreciate you for commenting, and for everybody who comments, likes, and of course subscribes. Appreciate you guys. But anyway, yeah, so picked up this kit, and so now we will officially fix the last little remaining piece of wear or blemish from the previous owner of my car that has irritated me for some time. So if you are new to the channel, this is my 2017 BMW M3 I picked up at the end of 2020, almost exactly 3 years ago. Anyway, so got this car at the end of 2020, and you know, mechanically it was sound, like it was good to go, but cosmetically it had a couple of weird things from the previous owner, particularly on the interior, that I had to replace. And in fact, I made a video on that. 5 things that I had to replace on the inside of my car, or just in general my car when I got it. So if you are so inclined, check that out. But anyway, the one thing that has remained, I took care of all those things almost right after I got the car, but the one thing that has remained is this tiny little blemish or, you know, scratch in the leather on the driver's side door handle. It's right in between the door pull and where the window up and down buttons are. It's the dumbest little thing, but it's such an eyesore. It catches my eye almost every time I get in and out of the car. It's always bugged me, and so I've been wanting to take care of it. Never really kind of looked too much into how I would do that, because like wasn't going to replace the entire, you know, door section there for that one little spot of leather. But again, the dye kit seems like that should take care of it. Now, when it comes to this kit, right? So again, this is the Colourlock Leather Fresh dye kit. 2 things to note. One, they do sell a more full version of this kit. This is just the dye itself, and then separately I got the degreaser and the sanding pad, right? The other thing is the color. Colourlock has, well, when you go to look up their leather dye, they group it, they categorize it by manufacturer. So you got like Audi, Porsche, BMW in my case. Now for BMW, they have over 280 different colors just for the leather interior of these cars over the years, right? 280 plus colors, which is pretty insane. But it's kind of like Dr. ColorChip. I made a video on that last year if you want to check that out. But the naming convention is, you know, from country of origin. So in this case, it is all the German version of the words of the color, the actual color name. So in my case, I have black merino interior, just black, standard black, but there is no black in the dropdown because in German, and I'm probably gonna say this wrong, but in German, the word for black is schwarz, S-C-H-W-A-R-Z. So anyway, if you are looking for leather dye for your car, just make sure that you know the German name, the proper name going in ahead of time, and you can find that on your build sheet. So, all right, well with that, let's go ahead and take care of this last little remaining piece of interior stuff from the previous owner. Again, I know it's a silly thing to, I don't know, waste time or energy or whatever on, but I think it's worth doing because, you know, it's sort of like if you just let stuff go, if you neglect little things like that. In this case, it's not something I did. It was, you know, something that was already there, but still, it's just if you let things build up like that, you know, you have the loose kitchen cabinet door, the stuck dresser drawer, just like all these little things that build up over time. I think it's a good idea to take care of them, and I think it just makes the overall ownership experience better. I know in my case, I'm 3 years late doing this. All the other stuff I did pretty quickly, but better late than never, I suppose, right? So, all right, well, let's go ahead and take care of this now. All right, so this is what we're dealing with today. So this is, again, I guess it's kind of just like scratching, and I don't even really know how this happens, but it kind of runs from like right up here to down here. So it's in a tricky spot with the door pull here and the plastic for the window controls, but it's right in eye shot. Every time I get in and out of the car, it drives me nuts. But it's like a series of like stuttered scratches. So it's, if you kind of run your finger over it, it's like very surfacey. It doesn't feel like there's any sort of divot or gouge or anything like that. It's just, it just seems like the very top pigment layer of the leather has been scratched off. And it kind of just goes down that, follows the curve of the door pull there. So anyway, that is what we are going to take care of today. Okay, so our phase one, got our mild cleaner here. If you saw that video, you remember this stuff. It's a very sort of gentle leather foam. And I'm just going to apply this right to the edge of the brush. And I don't need to do a whole lot here because we have a very small area that we're working with. Tiny little spot up at the top I'm going to try to hit too. So, all right, I think that's all that needs. Let's wipe that off. I hope I am filming right. Yep. All right. All right, so the cleaning is done. Next step, I'm gonna take the sanding pad. Now, this is one of those steps where, again, I'm not really sure that this is absolutely necessary, but given the fact that it's like stuttered scratches here, I don't know if maybe like on a microscopic level, there could be tiny fibers, like leather fibers sticking up that might be a little weird when you actually go to dye them. So going to use the sanding pad to just very lightly sand this area here. And it's gonna be, try not to get, I don't really need to sand the plastic or the rubber on the pool that's on the other side. So I'm gonna try to do this super carefully, but it is a very large surface area relative to the space that we're trying to get to here. So this will be fun. And doing this left-handed, which is suboptimal as well. Barely applying any pressure to this, just the littlest bit to kind of smooth out this whole area. So I have this pinched extraordinarily tight because you can kind of see like this little area that I'm getting just off the side, which is fine because the dye is going to get blended in around the sides. But I still am trying to avoid sanding anything that doesn't need it, especially the plastic or the door pull. All right, I'm gonna call that good enough. Okay, so step 3, I have the degreaser here. Now again, this comes in the full kit, or you can buy it separately if you buy the smaller kit. And actually have this fairly large sort of, I don't know, it's not even a microfiber towel, but it's sort of like a small rag, soft rag. This actually came with the smooth leather care kit, but I believe that you do get one if you have the full kit. So I'm gonna use that to apply and flip over to remove the degreaser, although you probably could just use a microfiber towel. Now this is a necessary step according to Colourlock. The sanding is kind of optional depending on the level of damage that you have, but you definitely want to use the degreaser before doing any kind of dye or anything like that, just to make sure that all of the oils and anything, any kind of contaminant is removed. Shake this up a little bit. So this is a pretty runny fluid. So I'm just gonna use that. Cover this whole area. And this little spot right back here. Yeah, that's gonna be tricky to get to with the little foam applicator for the dye, because you're supposed to blot it in small areas, so that's gonna be tricky. All right, so I think that area is pretty good. Kind of see that a little bit has come off with that, little bit of the pigment or dirt. Wouldn't think it'd be dirt because this was all cleaned very, very recently, so it might be just removing some of the surface pigment. Dude, I am so looking forward to this being gone as we're getting farther along in this process. All right, the degreaser is done, so now for the main event, the dye. But before we do that, okay, so this probably is not necessary, right? But because of the tiny thin area that I'm working with here, and because I'm using dye, which I don't want to get out of hand, sometimes I can be a little imprecise, bull in a china shop maybe. It's not really a thing, but nonetheless. So I might, go outside the lines a little bit on this one. So I've got some painter's tape, and I'm just gonna tape off the little plastic area and right around the door pull just to be safe here. I probably don't need it, and it's probably not a big deal, and any kind of excess overflow I could probably just easily wipe away, but I don't really know what I'm working with here. So I am just going to try to cover this area up best as I can. At the very least, I then don't have to worry about any kind of post cleanup. All right, so now for the main event. So for the leather dye in the kit itself, the mini kit as it were that I have, you get the actual bottle of dye, you have your foam applicator, and then little plastic glove. So that's nice. All right, so I'm gonna put a little dime size amount of dye on the applicator, maybe less because again, the area that we're working with is so small. Then I'm just gonna dab it kind of on the area. Now, according to Colourlock, you would wanna do a couple of very thin applications depending on the size of the area that you're treating. But because this is such a small area, they say that you only really need one application. Afterwards, so after the dye is applied, I have my Weiss hair dryer here, I'm gonna use to sort of assist in the drying and kind of blending process. I don't really think you need to do this, but in any video I've seen them use any of their products like that, they typically use a hair dryer or a heat gun or something low heat just to kind of help in that drying process. So I'm going to do that as well. All right, so let's see if I can do this without screwing it up. Shake up the dye really good. So let's put a little bit of dye in this corner here. Don't need a whole lot. Scrunch this into the applicator a little bit. All right, now, very light dabs. I'm already gonna say that having this tape there was helpful. And try to get this tiny little spot back here. All right, and that is it. So I'm gonna follow it up with a couple of taps from the non-dyed side. Kind of help blend that in a little bit. Also, be careful if you have any stitching here. So I have white stitching. Fortunately, I'm not doing anything near the stitching, but that would be an area of concern. All right, now the hair dryer. Well, that is certainly an improvement. So at the right angle, I can kind of see where it used to be, and I can also see where it ends here. So I probably need to blend this in just a little bit better, although when it dries, it'll also blend in pretty good too. But that is a pretty good improvement. All right, now I'm actually gonna go ahead and do a second very small application just for that little spot you can kind of see coming through right there. And then see if I can't blend this in just a little bit better right there. Dude, that looks awesome. Kind of still see right here, but I really have to look to see where the damage used to be. And in some cases, I'm not even sure what I'm looking at. But, and that is much improved. So I hope that looks that good in the daylight because I'm pretty happy with how this came out. So far, it still has to dry a little bit and we still got to reapply the leather protectant, but yeah, that looks good. Okay, so we got the first application on, hit that with the hair dryer, went through and did a second very tiny, very small application just to kind of add a little bit more coverage to the main scratched area. Hit that with the hair dryer. Now we're gonna let this sit. Now there is actually one last step, but we have to wait till tomorrow to do that, and that is to do another round of the leather protector. So Colourlock suggests that after doing the dye that you let it sit overnight and then come back in the morning and then add the protector just to make sure that the leather is protected. Now I think as this continues to dry and blend in, I think we're gonna see an even bigger improvement in sort of the cover up here. Already looking at it, I can tell you that, now granted, I'm under some crazy artificial light here. At just the right angle, I feel like I can kind of see one of the bigger circles of where that original scratch was, but this is doing a phenomenal job of covering that up. The black is like a perfect match. The blending looks like it's going pretty well. This is looking really good, but I'm really kind of anxious to get it out into natural daylight tomorrow, see how that looks and see how that, final blending went in. Then we'll do the leather protectant and wrap this up with some final thoughts and opinions and all that kind of crap. But so far, looking pretty solid. So, all right, we'll come back tomorrow, wrap this up. All right, guys, well, it is the next day. Got everything all set up here. Got a little natural daylight. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the tape off and see how it looks. Then we'll do the leather protectant and wrap up, the leather protector and wrap up. But so far, pretty promising. And take that off. Now there's still a little bit of, this is left over. This is from scratching. I don't know how that happens, but some scratching from the previous owner in the plastic. Got to wipe this off just a little bit from the tape, but no big deal. But this was our damaged area, and I don't even really see where the previous damage was. This is pretty impressive. I don't know if it comes out as good as it does in real life, but yeah, that came out pretty good. This one little piece of tape down there. Oh, that's gonna suck to get that out. All right, now our very last step here is the leather protector. So I'm just gonna do a very light coating on the area that we worked on here. Doesn't matter if I get a little bit on the plastic or the door pull. That'll just wipe off later. But anyway, just a little tiny coating here, and this will help protect. Same thing that we would do when we cleaned and protect the leather if you saw that video, but this will just help mitigate any potential future damage and of course protect the area that we dyed. All right, guys, well, final thoughts on how everything came out. Of course, I am insanely happy with the results of this. I think it worked great. I don't think this video was so much of it wasn't really a review necessarily of the Leather Fresh kit from Colourlock so much as it was sort of, can I fix this little patch of leather without screwing it up, right? So even though the area that we were working with was very small, I still never underestimate my ability to rush through something maybe and cause some damage with a mistake or something like that. Fortunately, my reoccurring mantra has been to just slow down, take your time, kind of like that little rant I went on in the spark plug video, if you saw that, which again, is more, me reminding myself just to slow down. But this is definitely one of those areas where it's good to take your time. You're sanding leather. Granted, the dye would probably fix any, I keep looking down, the dye would fix any kind of mistake that you might make, but it's better just to slow down and not make that mistake in the first place. As for the actual results, fantastic. And again, another thank you, Drifter 2090, for taking the time to comment and suggesting this to me, because as I said, it has resolved a long-standing, 3 years long almost at this point, stupid eyesore in my car that has just bugged me forever. I certainly would confess to being slightly obsessive about dumb little things like this sometimes, and I don't know where we are in the editing process. I haven't started editing this yet, so I don't know if the beginning little rant will stick from the beginning, but I did make mention, before we talk about the product, I did make mention of, taking the time, the value in taking the time to address little issues like this if they bother you, because if not, you just end up with a bunch of, dumb little problems that you're surrounded by. Not that having a scratch on my BMW leather is gonna really cause any kind of mental distress, but the overall point being that just having a bunch of dumb problems exist and not taking care of them, that can add up after a while. So certainly either taking care of them as they happen, or in this case, long since after I'd been bothered by the problem, but at some point enough is enough and you're just like, gotta fix this. So as for the product itself, Colourlock Leather Fresh Kit. So I think that the blending of this color, which really wasn't done by me, it's just, I guess, a natural sort of mechanism of the dye itself. The blending was fantastic. I can't tell where it started and stopped in terms of where the dye was applied and what was already there. I think that the ability to cover up the damage. Now, after the camera was off, I did do one more small application, which was probably overkill. It probably wasn't necessary. But looking at it in the natural daylight, it looks great. So yeah, I can't really say this is a comparison. It's not a review of comparing Colourlock's dye to any other manufacturers. There are other companies obviously that make kits like this, but because I was really happy with their cleaning kit, the smooth leather care kit, so it was kind of a no-brainer to give this one a shot, and by all means I'm thrilled with how the results of this came out. So highly recommended if you guys have some leather to repair. And I think in terms of for what it cost to fix this, that's a really subjective thing. Like, was it worth, the 60 to 70 bucks that it cost for this kit to fix that tiny little problem? For me, absolutely it was. But again, also, I have plenty of this stuff left over. So if anything else, needs repairing in the future, that I think that will pay for itself. It's already paid for itself just in the, happiness to have that dumb little issue fixed. But point being is that it's got plenty left over if I have to fix any other stuff in the future. So there it is, guys. Hope that you found this helpful in some way. In terms of videos, I think maybe I have one, maybe two more coming before the end of the year, but just in case, if not, if I get busy with the holiday season, take this time to wish you guys a Merry Christmas, have a great holiday season, and definitely lots more content coming next year. I didn't get as much done with this car performance-wise as I wanted to, so I'm gonna try to start the year off strong with some new stuff for Yaz here. And in the meantime, again, hope you guys have a great Christmas and everything else. Have a great week. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.